In the murky embrace of night, silence reigns supreme, heavy with the lurking shadows of hidden truths. The air is thick, as if pregnant with unspoken words, coiling around stillness that holds its breath. Centered in this darkness, the Night Queen exudes an aura of power, a magnetic force that draws in all who dare approach her realm. Perched upon her stone dais, the Queen is an ethereal figure, crowned with authority. Her throne, hewn from the bone of the earth, is enveloped in black velvet, a fabric that swallows all light and drapes gracefully to the ground like a dark waterfall. This seat is no ordinary throne. It embodies dominion, a testament to her unyielding rule over the night. The shadows at her feet quiver, alive with her latent power, awaiting the flick of her wrist to spring into motion. As the darkness surrounds her, the Queen remains still, a statue of impenetrable grace. Her hands, cool and poised, glide over the ancient stone, leaving behind whispers of forgotten tales. A palpable hum ripples through the chamber, echoing a feeling deeper than sound, an electric anticipation that reverberates through the bones of those present. Her existence conjures the lingering presence of the night itself, a relentless voice that reverberates into the void and waits for an eager reply. Drawn forth by the call of the Night Queen, the night dwellers emerge from their hiding places, each step a testament to their courage or their folly. They abandon their safety, plunging headfirst into the cold realm of the unknown, captivated and yet terrified. The Queen regards them with an inscrutable expression, her lips curling in a knowing smirk, as if anticipating the unraveling of their intentions and desires. The chamber is a boundless stretch of obscurity, a cathedral where shadows entwine like tendrils of smoke. It holds secrets that twist like the very fabric of the night, and at its nucleus she stands, the perfect synthesis of fear and allure. Commanding attention, her voice dances through the silence, chilling as it sinks into the marrow of their bones. Her unyielding proclamation of the night's rules echoes in the vastness. Look not into the abyss, heed the whispers, and above all, do not fool yourself into believing you are safe. With a single deliberate rap of her fingers upon the stone, the dim light flickers as though bowing to her decree. The air thickens with tension, time stretching into an eternity. Leaning closer, the velvet shivers around her, a subtle sign that something else stirs within the shadows, holding its breath, waiting to be unleashed. As the candlelight bows to her mesmerizing presence, the Night Queen's voice unfurls, smooth as silk, beckoning the darkness to listen. For tonight, the tales woven will twist their minds and bind their souls, ensnaring them in a web of night that they may never escape. In the murky embrace of night, silence reigns supreme, heavy with the lurking shadows of hidden truths. The air is thick, as if pregnant with unspoken words, coiling around stillness that holds its breath. Centered in this darkness, the Night Queen exudes an aura of power, a magnetic force that draws in all who dare approach her realm. Perched upon her stone dais, the Queen is an ethereal figure, crowned with authority. Her throne, hewn from the bone of the earth, is enveloped in black velvet, a fabric that swallows all light and drapes gracefully to the ground like a dark waterfall. This seat is no ordinary throne. It embodies dominion, a testament to her unyielding rule over the night. The shadows at her feet quiver, alive with her latent power, awaiting the flick of her wrist to spring into motion. As the darkness surrounds her, the Queen remains still, a statue of impenetrable grace. Her hands cool and poised, glide over the ancient stone, leaving behind whispers of forgotten tales. A palpable hum ripples through the chamber, echoing a feeling deeper than sound, an electric anticipation that reverberates through the bones of those present. Her existence conjures the lingering presence of the night itself, a relentless voice that reverberates into the void and waits for an eager reply. Drawn forth by the call of the Night Queen, the night dwellers emerge from their hiding places, each step a testament to their courage or their folly. They abandon their safety, plunging headfirst into the cold realm of the unknown, captivated and yet terrified. The Queen regards them with an inscrutable expression, her lips curling in a knowing smirk, as if anticipating the unraveling of their intentions and desires. The chamber is a boundless stretch of obscurity, a cathedral where shadows entwine like tendrils of smoke. It holds secrets that twist like the very fabric of the night, and at its nucleus she stands, the perfect synthesis of fear and allure. Commanding attention, her voice dances through the silence, chilling as it sinks into the marrow of their bones. Her unyielding proclamation of the night's rules echoes in the vastness. Look not into the abyss, heed the whispers, and above all, do not fool yourself into believing you are safe. With a single deliberate rap of her fingers upon the stone, the dim light flickers as though bowing to her decree. The air thickens with tension, time stretching into an eternity. Leaning closer, the velvet shivers around her, a subtle sign that something else stirs within the shadows, holding its breath, waiting to be unleashed. As the candlelight bows to her mesmerizing presence, the Night Queen's voice unfurls, smooth as silk, beckoning the darkness to listen. For tonight, the tales woven will twist their minds and bind their souls, ensnaring them in a web of night that they may never escape.
Welcome, Night Dwellers, to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I have a question to ask you. Do you like scary stories? You do? Then welcome and enjoy. Are you ready for some twisted Let us see what I'll conjure first tonight. Tonight, twisted tales that are going to be quite scary. We are going to dive into the depths of darkness tonight. As always. The most wonderful time of the year. Isn't that what they say? The most wonderful time of the year. Christmas. Well, wait until you hear what I have found as far as a story to make you feel differently about Christmas. But first, let's make sure everything is right for the night dwellers. Is the sound good? Let me know. Good now. Thank you, Roxy. Is that good? Hello, Magic Moon. Hello, little bit of wit. Hello, eat, drink, and be rosy. The sound is good. The volume is good. Very good. The lighting is good. Hello, Pomon. How are you? I hope you're feeling better, Night Dweller. Before we begin, let's remember that this is a safe, loving, warm, and welcome environment. There is no judgment here. We are cautiously watching every comment. So, if it is egregious, harassing, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you stand the chance of being muted. If you do it again, you will be blocked. Now, let's set the mood for tonight. Lower your lights. Turn up the music to a satisfactory level. For you, lock your doors, close the curtains, wrap up in your favorite blanket, because tonight you will feel chills. And let's begin. Warning. The following narrative contains graphic descriptions of violence, sexual assault, and torture. Listeners' discretion is strongly advised. The first story tonight is going to take us to the most wonderful time of the year. But for the Teed family, it was anything but. This one is called 3 Days Before Christmas, the Teed Family Massacre. Night Dwellers, this is not just a story. This is real. It happened 3 days before Christmas in 1990. A family's festive retreat turned into a horrific nightmare. A secluded cabin in the Utah mountains became the scene of unspeakable tragedy. Of unspeakable horror. Tonight's true crime story is one that you want to listen to closely, because you might still hear their screams echoing. This is going to be in first person. I can still remember the feeling of excitement. Every year, my mom, my dad, my grandma, my 2 sisters, we used to spend the days before Christmas at our family cabin in the Utah mountains near Oakley. It's been a tradition for years, one that really filled our home with warmth and laughter and memories of crackling fires and snow-covered trees. And this year was no different. Mom, Dad, my grandmother Beth, my sister Tricia, and I, Lene Todd, we were ready for a peaceful holiday. We had everything freshly cut, pine, cinnamon candles, gifts wrapped in bright paper, green, red, silver, blue, gold. But we never got to open them. Because in this year of 1990, Christmas never had a chance of coming, because death arrived first. Chapter 2, Unseen Eyes Watching. What we didn't know, what we couldn't have known, was that we weren't alone. We were being watched. Two men had been watching our cabin for days. Bob Lester Taylor and Edward Stephen Dowling have been watching our cabin for days. Have been watching us since we arrived. These men were not good. They were escapees from a halfway house. Hardened criminals looking for a place to hide, and of all the places that they could have found, it had to be ours. And our cabin, it became our hunting ground. They weren't there to rob us. They were there to hurt us. They were there to destroy us. And the second that we stepped inside, we were already dead to them. Chapter 3, a holiday home turned into a trap. It was December the 22nd, just a few days before Christmas. We had spent the day out shopping and picking up groceries. I remember that the air was really cold and the snow crunched beneath our boots as we walked down the pathway toward our cabin. Mom led the way. She was holding a bag of cookies in one hand and a bag of presents in the other. Grandma Beth followed us, and she was humming "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." I walked in last. Now, I don't have like premonitions or intuition or anything like that. At least I never had before, but the second that the door swept open, I felt it. Something was wrong. I wasn't sure what, but something was very, very wrong. Something wasn't right. The air inside was too still. And then I saw them, two men, standing in our home, in our living room, with their guns drawn. I remember hearing my mom gasp, and she dropped the bag of cookies. But she held on to the bag of presents, and I remember my grandma's little ting, "We wish you a Merry Christmas," just died on her lips. These two men were smiling at us like they had been waiting for us. I'd never been so scared. I didn't know what they were there for. I just knew it wasn't good. Chapter 4. The first screams. It happened so fast. Before we could scream, before we could run, there were gunshots. The one guy, Taylor, he lifted his gun and his hands were steady, like he had done this before. And I remember a single gunshot cracked through the air. And then another. And in that moment, our whole world shattered. Mom and Grandma Beth fell to the floor. Blood was pooling beneath them. Their Christmas sweaters were soaked in red. I couldn't move. I didn't know what to do, honestly. I couldn't breathe, and then I looked down at my mom, and my mother's eyes locked with mine. And then I saw the life leave her eyes. And she stopped moving. Thank you. Chapter 5. Helpless. I was watching my mom and my grandmother, and the whole time they were bounding my hands and my feet, and I remember the ropes biting into my wrist, cutting off the circulation. I could hear Dad and Trisha, my sister, completely unaware outside of what was going on. Completely unaware. They hadn't heard the gunshots. They didn't know what was happening inside. I wanted to warn them. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to scream out, "Run away, get away from here." But I remember that the gun was pressed against my temple. And I remember hearing that monster, Taylor, whisper to me, "One sound, and you'll join them." I didn't want them to get hurt, so I stayed silent. As I watched the blood seep into the wooden floor, as I watched my mother's body grow cold. Chapter 6. Dad and Trisha woke into the nightmare. Outside, Dad and Trisha were laughing. The sound felt so wrong. Dad had no idea that his wife was dead on the floor. Trisha, my sister, had no idea that her mom was gone. They had no idea what was waiting for them. And then the door swung open. There are some things that you never forget. There are some looks that you see on a person's face that you cannot wipe it away from your mind, no matter how hard you try. I remember Dad stepping inside, and the second he saw Mom and Grandma, the second that he saw their bodies, before he could react, Taylor fired again. A single shot. And when he fired, it was straight to my father's face. I remember Dad collapsed, blood spraying the walls. Trisha and I screamed. What in the world was happening? And why was it happening to us? But it didn't matter, because the looks on these two killers' faces was just blank. We were already dead to them. Taylor and Deli weren't done. They poured gasoline across the floor. I remember the scent burning my nose, mixing with the metallic stench of it. I begged them not to do it. Please don't do this. You can go. We will not bother you. We will not come looking for you. We will not tell the police. Just please, let us go. But I remember that Taylor just smiled. And then he lit the match. And I remember the flames swallowed our home. And the Christmas tree went up in seconds. Presents, photos, blankets, all of it turned to ash just within a matter of minutes. Our perfect life had turned completely upside down. And our family, we were dragged outside, forced onto snowmobiles. And unfortunately, our nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. Chapter 8. Dad was still alive. What they didn't know, what we didn't know, was Dad wasn't dead. Even though he had been shot in the face, he wasn't dead. Even with a gunshot wound to the face, he was still breathing, still fighting, and the flames devoured our home. Dad crawled out. He was burned. He was bleeding, but he was alive. And he was going to save us somehow. Chapter 9. The Ride into Hell. The smell of gasoline and burning wood filled my nostrils. I could still hear the crackling flames behind us, turning our family cabin to literal ash. The killers forced us into these snowmobiles. Taylor gripped the handles tightly, his body tense as he revved the engine. Deli sat behind him, gun in hand. My sister, Trisha, and I were sandwiched between them, frozen with terror. not knowing what that they were going to do to us. We had no idea. I could barely breathe. I didn't know where they were taking us. I just knew one thing. We weren't coming back. And in a way, with the loss of my mom and my grandma and my dad, because I thought he was still dead, I didn't know if I wanted to live. Chapter 10, A Father's Impossible Mistake. But what Taylor and Deli didn't know, they didn't know the strength of my dad. They didn't know the perseverance of my dad. They didn't know the strength of me and my sister. And they didn't know that Dad was still alive, and neither did I. Lying in the snow, his face half destroyed by a bullet. Bleeding terribly, burned, but breathing. And when he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was the 2 snowmobiles with his daughters kidnapped and moving off across the snow. He saw the cabin in flames, and we were gone. And somehow he forced himself up. He staggered forward. He had just been shot, but he got up. Each step like walking through hell. His body screamed for him to lie down and die. But Dad told me I had 2 daughters that I had to save. I couldn't quit. Not yet. Chapter 11, Racing Against Death. I remember the snowmobiles roared through the mountain trails. Cold wind lashed against my face. I could barely feel my fingers. Have you ever been that cold? I wanted to fight. I wanted to jump. I wanted to get away, but we were moving too fast, and I thought about doing something stupid and pushing Taylor off, and I looked over at my sister, and she was just paralyzed with fear. The forest around us blurred into a tunnel of black trees and snow. It was as if these guys knew exactly where they were going. And then Taylor's grip tightened. I felt his muscles tense. Something had changed. And then I realized he saw something in the distance. Chapter 12, Uncle Randy Sees Us. My Uncle Randy was waiting at the bottom of the trail. He had been expecting us to return from town. He always came and checked on us. Instead, he saw something terrifying. Our snowmobiles were racing down the mountain, and that was all to him. He saw 2 strange men, Trisha and me, trapped between them. And Randy's stomach dropped. He knew something was wrong. But before he could react, disappearing into the valley below. Meanwhile, my father had found another snowmobile. His body was broken, his face was barely recognizable, but he climbed on, gripping the handlebars with his blood-covered hands. He had one mission: to find us, to save us, or die trying. The snowmobile lurched forward. Dad raced down the mountainside toward us. Freezing wind stabbed through his wounds. His vision blurred from the pain, but he kept going. Because his daughters were still out there. Chapter 14. We reached the parking lot, and it was at the base of the mountain. Taylor and Deli forced us into our own family car. They had a plan. They were going to take us somewhere far away. Somewhere that we would never be found. And then a sound. Sirens. A voice crackled over a loudspeaker. Hands in the air! Uncle Randy had called the police. And now, Taylor and Deli were surrounded. For the first time that night, I saw the fear in Taylor's eyes. He had murdered my mother, burned our home, shot my father, killed my grandmother. And now, he was trapped. He still hesitated with his gun in his hand. For a second, I thought he was going to kill us both. But then, Deli dropped his gun first. Taylor followed, and their hands went up. And just like that, it was over. I remember seeing those flashing red and blue lights reflected against the snow. I remember officers swarmed the car, weapons drawn, shouting orders at Taylor and Deli to get down on the ground. And for a moment, I was too stunned to move. And then I saw him. My father. Shirtless. Bleeding, his face barely recognizable. He had survived a gunshot wound to his face. He not only survived that, he survived a burning cabin. He survived the freezing snow. And now, after saving us, after fighting with every last ounce of strength, he fell. I screamed. I thought I just watched my father die. I remember paramedics surrounded him. I was pulled away. I fought hard. I called his name. Dad, please wake up. He wasn't responding. His skin was ice cold, his face covered in blood. The paramedics worked fast, lifting him onto a stretcher. I couldn't stop shaking. Trisha held my hand, but she was crying too. We were both covered in smoke and ash. Everything smelled like death. I just remember walking away from the paramedics, the ambulance, standing in the snow, freezing cold, and closing my eyes. And then opening them back up and looking up into the sky at the millions of stars. Please, God, I whispered. Don't take him too. Dad survived. Barely. Doctor said it was a miracle. But Christmas has never been the same. You're supposed to be given things at Christmas. You're supposed to give things at Christmas. But it was all taken away from us. We never did anything wrong. We were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Instead of opening gifts, we sat in the hospital room. Instead of laughter, there was silence. Mom was gone. Grandma Beth was gone. Our home was gone. I couldn't look at the holiday lights anymore without feeling sick to my stomach. Christmas had become the day that we had all died. All of us. Taylor and Ellie were arrested. Their trials were long, brutal, painful. The courtroom was cold. My father, wrapped in bandages, sat staring at the man who had shot him. Taylor didn't flinch. He didn't look sorry. Even after he was sentenced to death, he just smirked. Ellie got life in prison, but no punishment could ever bring back what they took from us. The cabin was rebuilt, but I never went back there. Even now, 24 years later, I can still hear the gunshots. I can still feel the ropes cutting into my wrist. I can still see my mother's eyes locked with mine moments before she died. Some nights I wake up gasping for air. Because in my dreams I'm still there. I'm still in the cabin. I'm still trapped, still screaming. Three days before Christmas, a part of me that never escaped. A sad story indeed, Night Dwellers. A sad story indeed. We're going to take a 10-minute intermission. and then we will be back with the serial killer portion of the evening. Stay tuned. How is everyone out there tonight? Was that a twisted tale? I want to thank everyone globally for your support. I thank you globally for your acceptance of my decisions to make this show darker and scarier. I am, after all, the Night Queen. I want to thank you all globally for the follows, for the likes, for tapping that screen. I want to thank you for the gifts, whether it is a small gift or a grand gesture. It is greatly appreciated. So thank you so, so much. I'm going to set our next goal. I think the little pink bow ties are quite charming. Thank you, Eric. Hey, Bryant. Thank you, Tammy Weber. Even the darkest stories need to be retold. That is absolutely right. So tonight, we are in black again. And this one is quite lovely. So we've got some little feathery thing going on here. It is sequined, and I don't know if you can see it, but it goes all the way to the floor. I have kind of like a Morticia feeling going on. I do love Morticia. Hello, Grandma D. How are you? All right, let's start sharing. Sharing is caring. That is exactly how we are going to grow. Do you have 5 friends on TikTok? 10 friends that you can share this with? Let's get the excitement back into this live. The Night Queen is not feeling it. Let's go. Let's pick it up. Hey, Megan, how are you? Do you notice the bracelet? Yes. So I just want to give a shout out to E-Drink and B Rosie. This lovely lady not only gave me the most beautiful crown, which I am getting ready to wear once I get some pins. She also provided me with a protection box. And this box, Night Dwellers, is just absolutely amazing. Eat, drink, and be Rosie. You are the most talented, most lovely of my Night Dwellers. Thank you so, so much. There was necklaces, stones, spheres. I just felt so protected, and I take it with me wherever I go. Thank you so much. Things do not grow on their own, Night Dwellers. They just don't. It comes by sharing, by spreading the word. So share it with your uncle, aunt, mother, father, brother, sister. Do you know someone that likes scary stories? Share it with them. They might actually like it. Share with 5, 10 friends. Spread the word. That is how this live is going to grow. I am choosing to grow it organically. I do not want to pay as some do for fake followers. I want all my followers to be real. All of them. And you say that you love the show. You say, oh, I did not make it through the weekend. I was just so sad. I did not have my Twisted Tales live. If you like it, and if you love these stories, then I ask that you consider a gift, a small gift, or a grand gesture. Whichever it is greatly appreciated. And it's going to go toward keeping this live alive and thriving. Thank you so much. Hello, Casper. How are you? Hey, Julie. Let me go through and call out some of my names. Curly Bear, how are you tonight? Yes, indeed, Melanie, they do. And I am not going to be one of them. Hey, Jared. Hey, Tracy. Thank you for sharing on Facebook. Hey, Megan. How are you? Hey, Buddha J. How are you? Hey, Kim. Hello, Tara. I know, Melanie. Wasn't it lovely? Hello, legend of the 80s. How are you? Thank you for sharing, Tracy 76 Wyatt. Thank you so, so much. Dark stories bring life to your evil heart. Now remember, Friday night, 7:30, there was going to be a meet and greet for everyone. I know that the format has changed up a little bit, but I'm trying to get more into character. But Friday night at 7:30, I'm going to do a meet and greet. No stories yet, just talking, hanging out, talking with you. Yes, I absolutely love it. And you know what? Eat, drink, and be Rosie, my daughter. She loves it. She's like, Mom, that is the prettiest bracelet. I said, I know. It's mine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like a raven. Exactly. Yes. Oh, you woke up late. That is okay. Thank you, Anna Ray. You just never know what to expect with me. I just go where the wind takes me. One of the rings that I wear on my finger is a compass ring. North, south, east, and west. I don't know if you can see it, but I just let it lead me where it will. Can you see it? Do I need to get up closer? Can you see it? Yes? No? Maybe? No, we go. See? I love composites. Lulu, you're not able to get back in Discord. We will figure that out. That's right, Bryant. Thank you, Casper. Hello, hello, hello. You want to dye your hair dark now? Well, actually, in all actuality, I am a ginger. I have red hair, and I had it for so many years. It's the red, like my daughter. And I just decided that I wanted to find out if it was true. Did blondes have more fun? So I started out with blonde, and then I did dark brown, I did chocolate, but I never did black. And then I thought about it. The Night Queen. Well, the Night Queen is dark. Mysterious, right? This is the thing, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow night dwellers. You can sit there and say for the longest time, oh, I wonder what I would look like if. Oh, I wonder what would happen if I wrote that book. Oh, I wonder. Don't be an I wonder. Be a I doer. You will never know if you don't try it. You will never know if you don't write the book. You will never know if you don't dye your hair a different color, on whether you'll like it or not. Take chances, my friends. Step out of your comfort zone. You might actually be surprised what happens. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. New night dwellers that are in the audience, come in and let me know where you're from. I want to meet you. If you are a silent night dweller and you just prefer to stay in the shadows, that's all right. But you have a family here that loves you. So why don't you just drop in and say hello? My husband is a ginger, my son is a ginger, my daughter is a ginger. Heck, my cats are gingers. All right, Jared. Uncle Fester says hello. I hear you. I'm so sorry, Shauna. So sorry. But truly, night dwellers, let's keep this audience happy and let's keep it positive. That is why people come here. They flock here because it's different. Different, not negative, not putting the artist down, not yelling and being loud and brash in the live. No one likes an energy vampire, especially me. So let's keep it safe, warm, and welcoming for everyone. Thank you. You absolutely can, Kara. You are going to hear a zombie story one day. I'm actually working on one. Let's share this live. Let's get the excitement up. Share it with 5, 10, 15, 20 people. I know. I check accounts, I check pages. People have friends, people have TikTok friends, share it. People have YouTube friends, share it. People have Facebook friends, share it. That is how this live is going to get known. You say you love it? Well, I love it too, and I want to protect it. And I want to make it the best Scary Stories live in the world. Also, if you haven't joined, we have a whole community on Discord. A whole community, and it's getting bigger by the day. We have scary photos. We've got so many different channels in there that is just unreal. It is so much fun. We share our pets, we share recipes, we share stories, we share it all. Also, very soon as I can figure out how to get boxes up, we are going to do a Paranormal Wednesday. Not with me telling the paranormal stories, though. You. That's right. This is your chance to come in and share your paranormal story, your ghost story experience, right here in Twisted Tales Live. It will be a lot of fun. Mods, if you could please put up the link for the Discord server. We want this community to grow. Discord is so fun. Most of the time, I am so extremely busy that I don't have a lot of time to comment, but you'll crack me up. It is absolutely hilarious. We have a scary photo channel. We have a paranormal channel. We have share an idea channel. We have a story suggestion channel. We have so much going on in Discord. So please join it. Thank you for sharing the live video, V. Thank you. We'll figure it out, Kathy. Don't you worry. We will figure it out. Yes, I am still on Clapper 2, Harper's Happenings. We actually do still have chats that continue in there, yes. Hello, Ohio girl, how are you? Hey, Blue Eye Blonde. There is no one else like the Night Dweller family. We are not just your typical server where you come in and say hello every 2 weeks and then you forget the server name. We are very active and we have a lot of fun. Now, I do hope that all of my Night Dwellers have gathered back in for the second story of the night. Unfortunately, it is not going to get any lighter. It's only going to get darker. Have you ever heard of the Toy Box Killer? You're about to. Warning. The following narrative contains graphic descriptions of violence, sexual assault, and torture. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The Toy Box Killer, inside the nightmare of David Parker Ray. And this is one sadistic man. This isn't just a story. This is real. It happened in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Have you heard of it? David Parker Ray was a man who looked like an average mechanic, but he hid a secret that only his victims knew. The toy box. Why was it called a toy grin? Because the toy box was a soundproof trailer in the middle of the desert, where women were taken, bound, tortured, and broken. David Parker Ray called it his toy box, a place that became a graveyard for the missing. This is the story of David Parker Ray, the Toy Box Killer. And if you listen closely, you might still hear the cries and the screams echoing in the desert. Chapter 1. The Monster Hiding in Plain Sight. David Parker Ray wasn't the kind of man who stood out in a crowd. He was quite ordinary. Let me show you his picture. That was him. He was ordinary. An aging mechanic with gray hair and glasses. A man who fixed trucks and cracked casual jokes at the local diner. No one in the town of Truth or Consequence, New Mexico, knew his secret. No one knew what he kept locked inside his cargo trailer. His trailer, until one woman managed to escape, and the truth spilled into the world like a nightmare unleashed. inside a rusted white trailer. Hidden behind Ray's home was hell itself. He called it his toy box, but there were no toys inside, just suffering. It was a soundproof chamber, lined with thick insulation to trap the screams inside. Steel hooks hung from the ceiling. There was a gynecological chair in the middle of his toy box. Straps for wrist, ankles, and head, so his victims could be held in place, unable to move. To make him even sicker, a mirror was mounted above the chair so they could watch, and lining the walls, tools, many tools. Weapons, torture devices. David Parker Ray spent over $100,000 building his dungeon. And for over a decade, the women that he brought inside his toy box, almost none of them ever came out. Chapter 3, the tape recording. Picture with me, if you will, waking up in a room that is pitch dark. The first thing you will hear is a voice coming over a speaker. The first thing that a woman would hear when she woke up was his voice. Not spoken directly to her, but through a tape recording, a message, a warning. And it said this: "Hello there." He would proceed to call the woman a terrible name. "You are here against your will. You probably think that you're going to be assaulted. You probably think a lot of things are going to happen to you. They are. You're right about that. The message was calm, matter of fact, cold, as if he had done this 100 times before. His voice message would continue. "I want you to understand that you are no longer human. You are my property, and I will do whatever I please with you. You can scream as much as you want. No one, and I mean no one, can hear you." Chapter 4, the abductions. David Parker Ray didn't just hunt strangers. No, that would be too risky. Instead, he lured them. Many of his victims were ladies of the evening or runaways, women he knew no one would dare to come looking for them because they would not care if they were missing. He had a partner in crime. I'll show you her picture too. This was his lady. Cindy Hindi, just as much a monster as David Parker Ray ever was. How do two people connect? Exactly like this. He had a partner in crime. What Cindy would do was she would help him find women, gaining their trust. Do you need some help? We could help you. We have some property and we just need some little odd jobs done. If you come out there, we'll help you. We'll put you up, we'll give you a room, board, food. And she had a very trustworthy smile. Yes, she knew how to gain their trust, offering them rides, telling them there was the promise of work, giving them a drink, and drugging them. And before they knew what was happening, they woke up inside the toy box, chained. Alone. In the dark, where no one could hear them. And they were about to experience something worse than death. Chapter 5. The Torture. It wasn't just about pain with David Parker Ray. It was about breaking them physically, mentally. Emotionally. He used whips, knives, pliers, electrodes attached to sensitive areas of the body. The mirror above the chair forced them to watch as these horrors were done to them. And all the while, he spoke to them. Calmly. Now, what you want to do is you want to be in this position because maybe it might not cause you so much pain. Well, I lied. It is going to cause you pain, but you know, telling them exactly what he was going to do, what he was going to do next, how they would never leave there. How they would never leave alive. He loved to watch the moment that he killed all their hopes all their dreams, all their plans of a future. When he was interviewed, David Parker Ray said, there was nothing like it. They had some foolish notion that they were going to get out. But I knew the moment that it died in them. I knew it. David Parker Ray kept detailed diaries of every victim, descriptions of every woman that he had taken. He had claimed to torture over 60 women, not 16, 60. Many of them were never seen again. Some were released, but drugged so heavily that they didn't remember even what had happened. And they were the lucky ones, because that was just in the beginning of his reign of terror. The ones after that did not escape. Others, they were buried in the desert or dumped in Elephant Boat Lake way down by cinder blocks. Police searched, but never found a single body. But there's always one person who doesn't give up in most cases. She was supposed to be his next victim, but she fought back. My name is Cynthia Vigil. Oh my God, this is so hard to tell y'all. It was March the 22nd, 1999. I had nothing. I had no one. I had nowhere to go. I had no money. The only thing that I had going for me was I was young. And I got my mama's looks. I had a friend at the bar down the road who he would help me out every now and then with food or a drink. I was trying to decide what my next step was going to be. I'd already lost my son. I was in an abusive relationship. His parents got him. He was only 2. Ted told me he would help me out. He said, when the bar closes, I'm gonna drive you to the next town. I found out there's a place there where you can get some help. Maybe get your son back. So I was just sitting there at a table in the back of the bar, and this woman came in. she was drinking, and she turned around, and I don't know, I mean, I lifted my head and I smiled at her, and she smiled back at me. And I guess that's all she needed. She came over. She said I looked like I was down on my luck, and could she help me? And I was just joking around. I said, can you give me a job so I can get my son back and get my own apartment? She laughed, and then she said, yeah, I can help you do that. She asked me if I wanted a drink. Sure. What do you have in mind? Well, my husband and I, we have some property, and we're just trying to fix it up a little bit, and I really need another woman's touch on it just to, make sure it looks good. What about that drink? I told her sure, and then I got up and went to the bathroom, and I came back, and there was the drink, and I drank it. I remember her making it out to her truck, and I remember her talking to me, but I remember feeling groggy. My head was swimming. And I remember saying something to her along the lines of, I need to get out, I feel sick. And then I remember being hit over the head. That's the last thing I really remember. And then I woke up and I was inside this container, and it was hot. It had to be over 100 degrees in there. And I was chained in this chair. All my clothes were gone. And I remember I was terrified. And then this man walked in, and he looked like he was drunk. He smelled drunk. And he just pointed at me. I just remember him whispering at me, I'll get you later. And it was like they were arguing about something. And then he left. And she went out after him, and then she came back in, and she took the chains off of my wrist. And then I remember she walked over to this wall that had all these tools on them. And it was about then that I saw a set of keys left on a nearby table. I didn't even think. I just got up and I lunged for them, and Cindy tried to grab me by the hair. I saw an ice pick on that table too, and I picked it up and I stabbed Cindy Henley right in the neck. And I ran out of that was out in the desert, totally naked, wearing only a slave collar around my neck. I saw a trailer in the distance, and I ran up and banged on the door, screaming, begging for someone to help me. And this little old woman answered the door, and I just ran inside crying. She covered up. She gave me a blanket, and then she called the police. And with Cynthia's escape, David Parker Ray, was finally exposed to the world. Chapter 8. The police enter the toy box. The moment that Cynthia Vigil ran from David Parker Ray's home, the nightmare cracked open. She was found barefoot and naked, covered in cuts and bruises. She still had a metal slave collar around her neck, which they had to use a special tool to be able to take it apart. Her wrists were raw from the chains that had held her bound. She kept repeating over and over, "He was going to kill me. He was going to kill me. Oh my God, he was going to kill me. I would have never seen my son again." The police stormed David Parker Ray's trailer, and what they found inside would haunt them forever. Chapter 9. The horror inside the toy box. When they walked in, the trailer was completely silent. It smelled of sterile steel and dried blood. The first thing that they saw was that chair. A gynecological chair with heavy restraints. The mirrors mounted above it. Blood spattered on the mirror. The chains, pulleys, clamps. They bound whips, scalpels, electric shock machines. He had it all. They found diagrams, drawings of how to inflict the most pain, medieval books on torture and how to create the most pain. And then they found the tapes. The tapes of torture. Chapter 10. One of the detectives pressed play. He wasn't exactly sure what he was going to hear, but he was not prepared. And suddenly David Parker Ray's voice filled the room. "Hello there, ma'am. If you're listening to this, you are no longer free. You are now my slave." His voice was calm. Matter of fact, as if he was explaining how to fix an engine instead of describing torture. "You will learn to obey me in time. If you try to escape, you will be punished. You will scream, you will scream, you will scream. You will be punished. Let me stress that. You are here solely for my pleasure, and I will have it." The tapes weren't just audio, though. They were video, recording his victims, their pleas, their screams, their slow descent into madness. Some of the videos dated back years. And the question no one wanted to ask was, where were these women now? Chapter 11. The accomplices who helped David Parker Ray. Unfortunately, David was not alone in his sadistic practices. He wasn't alone in his horrors. His girlfriend, Cindy Henney, had helped him lure the victims in. She had drugged them, chained them up, laughed while they screamed. She helped him clean up. The police actually heard a conversation where they had just killed a woman, and they were talking about what to put on the grocery list for the next day. Do you want cheese and crackers? Do you want to add orange juice to the list? She helped him clean it up, disposed of their bodies. She wasn't their only helper, night dwellers. His own daughter, Glenda Jean, Jessie Ray, was also suspected of helping him abduct women. There were others, accomplices who never spoke up, never stopped him. One guy said, yeah, he was a nice guy, but if you've ever seen David Parker Ray when he was mad, you didn't want to be 500 feet within him. He warned us, you say one word, and I'll get your wife, your daughter, your mother, your sister. Even his friends, Dennis Yancey, admitted to helping him kill a woman. And when investigators pressed him, they all had the same chilling excuse. It was just the way things were, man. We had to help him. If we didn't, he was going to make our lives miserable. As the news broke, more women started coming forward from his early years of torture. Women who had disappeared for days and returned with no memory at all of what had happened. Some had flashes of being tied down, of a man's voice whispering commands, move this way, move that way, but it had all been wiped away by the drugs. David Parker Ray had a method in his earlier years. After he was done with his victims, he would inject them with powerful sedatives. Sodium pentothal, phenobarbital, drugs that could erase memories and leave them confused. Some victims had returned home thinking that they were just having a mental breakdown. They could not remember for the life of them what had happened to them. Others, they were never seen again. Chapter 13. The Women Who Never Came Home. The diaries were absolutely disturbing. David Parker Ray had documented his victims' dates, torture methods, but there were no names, only descriptions. The one with red hair down to her waist, the one with the high cheekbones, the one who fought the most, the one who begged in Spanish, the one who bled the most from her neck. 60 names, 60 women. Only a handful were ever found alive. The rest vanished. The question was, Chapter 14, where were the bodies? The police searched. They dug through Elephant Butte Lake, where Ray claimed to have dumped the bodies. They searched abandoned mine shafts in this desert, but they never found a single body. Ray had spent years perfecting his craft. He knew how to erase violence, evidence, where to bury bones so they would never be found, where to dump bodies where no one would dare to ever look. And because of that, some families never got answers. Some mothers are still waiting for their daughters to come home. The shocker is that David Parker Ray denied everything at first. He said the women consented gladly to his dating games, that it was all role play, that the screams on the tapes, that's just how we had fun. But the jury saw right through him. They saw the evidence. They saw the chains, the bloodstains, the women's faces on the tapes. They saw it all. And they knew David Parker Ray wasn't just a killer. David Parker Ray was a demon wearing human skin. The day of his trial, his sentencing, David Parker Ray sat stone-faced in court. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't sorry. Even as the survivors testified against him, his face was a mask of cold indifference. Cynthia Vigil stood before the jury. Her voice shook, but she spoke clearly. I don't remember you taking me, David Parker Ray. But I remember everything else. The chains, the pain, the way you laughed at me, the way you told me that I would never escape. But guess what, David Parker Ray? I did escape. And you're going exactly where you belong. She did escape. And now he would pay for every victim who never got away. The judge read the verdict. Guilty. Sentenced to 224 years in prison. And may God have mercy on your soul. You, sir, are a monster. Chapter 17, the monster dies too soon. The thing that disturbed me about this case more than anything, Night Dwellers, was all the torture, all the evil that this man did. David Parker Ray had been locked away. But he never served his sentence. Never served his sentence. In May 2002, just 3 years after his arrest, he was being transported for questioning. He was finally ready to talk about the missing women, to tell detectives where he had hidden the bodies. But he never did. Before he could say a word, he collapsed. A heart attack. Dead. Just like that. Taking all his dirty, nasty, dark, disgusting secrets with him. But he also took the family's closure away of the victims. Now no one would know where they were. And the worst part, some of them still won't. David Parker Ray wasn't alone in his crimes, as I stated earlier. His girlfriend, Cindy Hindi, helped him kidnap, torture, and kill. She laughed when he hurt women. She held them down. She helped him drug them and erase their memories. And when the trial came, what do you think the loving Cindy did? She turned on him. And when the trial came, she told them, I will tell you everything. I will plead guilty if you'll give me a deal. Her sentence, just 36 years in prison. She was released in 2019, and she walks free today. The daughter, Glenda Jessie Ray, was also suspected of helping him, but she was never convicted. Only one other accomplice, Dennis Yancey, was charged. He admitted to helping kill Marie Parker, one of the missing women. He served 11 years. And that's it. David Parker Ray was gone. But the people who helped him destroy lives, they got to walk free. Completely free. For years, the police kept searching. They dragged Elephant Butt Lake. They dug in the desert. They sent cadaver dogs into abandoned mines. But no remains were ever found. David Parker Ray was too careful, too precise. He knew exactly how to erase evidence. And because of that, the families of the missing will forever suffer. Every year, new families reach out to investigators begging to know, could my daughter have been one of his victims? Perhaps. The answer, maybe. But without bodies, without proof, they may never know. David Parker Ray is gone. His toy box is gone. But the horror that he created never disappeared. There are women who survived but will never forget. There are families who will always wonder what happened to their daughters. And in the quiet desert of Truth or Consequence, New Mexico, there are places where the ground is too still, where the wind carries whispers of something buried deep within the ground, where the ghost of his victims still cry out for justice. Some say, if you stand in the place where the toy box once stood, if you listen very, very carefully, you can still hear a voice playing on a damaged old tape recorder. Hello there. If you're listening to this, you are now my slave. Click. Silence. Because he may be dead, but the toy box killer's legacy of terror will never die. Well, another night of twisted tales complete. I hope that you all enjoyed it immensely, as much as I did. I will leave you with this. Sleep well tonight, dear night dwellers. But remember this, when you lay down in your bed and pull your blanket up over your head, in the darkest corridors of your nightmares, and you will have them, you belong to me.